In the Irish hills of Michigan, a track lies in the rolling green, known for high speed and wide grooves, for competition and loud machines. For the faint of heart, it is not. It owes sympathy to none. It demands for the absolute best, for the trophy only goes to one.
John Ardnt in the 62 pulls it off, and
Annie Thomas in the number 55 is going to make it into the chase.
Cameron Black wins at Michigan.
At the Michigan International Speedway, Elijah Gordon, Stuart Gratton wins the NRLOA 500. The NOFSRL 500 goes to Seth Cole. Troxell wins the NOFSRL 500.
The list of winners reads like royalty among the brightest of jewels to score. While it prides itself on exclusivity, it is a club that welcomes more. Through a difficult year, a league realigned. This coveted jewel was almost lost to time, but 2 years later, as a pledge 40th sworn, for 50 laps of racing, as a tradition is reborn. The 8th annual NOFSRL 500 begins now. Four races remain in the 2022 season of the NOFSRL Trinity River Cup Series, and with those 4 races left, we arrive in Brooklyn, Michigan at the 2-mile D-shaped oval Michigan International Speedway, and we are here for the revival of the NOFSRL 500. 2 years ago, this race was last ran. Thomas Troxell got the victory in Season 9 of the NOFSRL Cup Series. And 2 years later, this crown jewel of the NOFSRL is back. Welcome up into the booth, everybody. Here alongside with me for the call of this race is Brennan Wilmington. Brennan, you know Michigan. Michigan is one of the most entertaining tracks we come to from a racing standpoint. They're going to be sliding around all over the place. It's 88 degrees here. What kind of things are we going to have to expect coming into this race today?
I'm expecting a lot of 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide at some points. A lot of passing for the lead. It's going to be really entertaining out there, but you got to watch out for turn 2. That seems to be Calamity Corner here at this track. A lot of times cars will bunch up coming off of turn 2 and they'll get into each other, and you know, that's the treacherous spot on the racetrack everybody's got to watch out for. But these 40 drivers, they're looking to put on a pretty good show today. Michigan's one of my favorite tracks in this game.
And it should be a thrilling one. You mentioned turn 2 being Calamity Corner. That's where the only incident was last year when the Trinity River Cup Series came to Michigan. We'll see if they can keep it clean. They've been keeping it clean in some of the test races I've been doing, so we'll just have to see what goes on. I'd also say that turn 4 could be Calamity also, because they tend to slide up on each other coming off that corner sometimes. But real quick, before we continue on, let's take a look at the point standings coming into this race. It is a change atop the point standings for the first time in I don't know how many races. It's been a while. But Nicholas Samadio, yeah, not Kyle McLeese anymore, Nicholas Samadio is back atop the championship standings. He has 598 points toward the championship. He's 6 points ahead of Kyle McLeese, who had an abysmal month of July, but is still very much in championship contention. 63 points back is Kanan Biller, 64 back is Elijah Gordon, 68 back is Colin Teague, 76 back is Marty Sakala, 87 back is Trey Wright, 92 back is Brock Nelson, who won the Brickyard 400 last week. 95 points behind is Alejandro Cruz Jr., and 96 back is Texas Motor Speedway winner Mitchell Henderson. 96 points behind Nicholas Samadio. 4 races remain. The championship is still wide open. We have Michigan, then we have Armory Digital next week, and then Watkins Glen and Homestead after that, and that brings season 4 to a close. We're almost there, but the championship is still wide open. Let's go down trackside. We'll get you a starting lineup so we can get the 8th NOFSRL 500 underway. And the engines fire here at Michigan. 40 going to roll off the grid. It is Daytona 500 winner Ethan Lewis on the pole position. He starts alongside the number 2 of Joey Hightower, winner at Kansas 1 year ago, looking to end that winless streak. In row number 2, we find Keegan Thompson in the number 17. He's looking for his first win since Season 2 in Orlando. He starts alongside his teammate out of Logansport, the 27 of Roberta Crown Jr. In row number 3, we find Marty Sakala in the Ally number 84, who won at Las Vegas. In Atlanta, he looks for his 3rd win on the season. Starts alongside another driver looking for his first win in the series, Christian Vargas out of Monkey Racing. Row number 4, we find another driver who's looking for their first career win, Justin Zidell for Pacific Hamel Racing at the number 62. Starts alongside Phoenix winner Elijah Gordon. And rounding out the top 10, we find Alejandro Cruz Jr. in the number 05, starting alongside Trey Wright in the 95. That's your top 10. Brennan, who do you think is going to go to victory lane in the revival of the NOFSRL 500?
I'm going to pick Marty Sakala. He's already got a couple wins this season. He's starting near the front. Michigan's kind of like a bigger Texas, or was it Atlanta? No, it was Atlanta.
Atlanta and Las Vegas he's won it.
Yeah, it's kind of like a bigger version of those tracks, so I think he has the ability to get it done, especially with our 2 championship contenders starting at the back.
We'll have to see how it goes for him. Welcome in, everybody. We hope you enjoy the race. The NOFSRL 500 is back. The 8th running of this Crown Jewel race is green from Michigan. Down to the start-finish line, Keegan Thompson leads lap number 1 of the 2022 NOFSRL 4 wide, heading off into turn number 3. Ethan Lewis, Roberto Crown Jr. side by side. Hightower crosses underneath Thompson, and right to the race lead goes the Buck Racing driver. 3 and 4 wide behind them as they head down the back straightaway. It is a very, very wide racetrack, though. They can make it work so long as they don't get too close to each other, as they're starting to spread out a little now as they head through 3 and 4 on lap number 2.
Zidell up the middle, trying to take 4th from Marty Sakala as they're 3 wide behind the top 4 or 5. Now Zidell moves to the inside, trying to get past Keegan Thompson for 3rd. Vargas looking underneath as well, as his Monkey Racing teammate Ethan Lewis has already fallen outside of the top 5 after starting on pole.
As for the lead, there goes Roberto Crown Jr. to the point you mentioned. We have a lot of lead changes, and there's 3 different leaders early on. Ethan Lewis, or Keegan Thompson, Joey Hightower, and Roberto Crown Jr. actually, so 4 different leaders, but Ethan Lewis, technically, he started from the pole, but he didn't lead a lap, and so he's sliding back here early on in the Michigan International Speedway. As up front, Justin Zidell, who came up 1 spot short of winning the Franklin Electric Brickyard 400 1 week ago to Brock Nelson. He looks to the inside, and the Lumen Toyota trying to get up front here at the Michigan International Speedway.
Dell had a terrible season. He went between March and July without scoring a single top 10, but maybe that second place at Indianapolis has rejuvenated him as he has found his way up front, but he's being chased by the 2-car of Joey Hightower, as well as everybody else behind them as they're starting to spread out a little bit. There isn't as much 3 wide as there was earlier, but you can see back there in the middle of the pack, mid-back of the pack, there's a lot of 3 and 4 wide action going on. Kyle McLeese, you can see him right in the middle of that mess.
Oh yeah, the second place in the points, and the points leader, Nicholas Samadillo, right at the tail end of that deal, as up front. Looks like they're going to be side by side once again. Keegan Thompson coming back after Justin Zeidel, looking for the lead, and into turn number 3. It looks like the Riley, Alberta native is going to take it, though Zeidel does dive on the outside. Marty Zakela try to dive it on the inside, make it 3 wide, and they will be side by side coming down the front straightaway. And Roberto Crown Jr. crosses to the inside, and by the way, you mentioned that may have rejuvenated Justin Zeidel, that second place 1 week ago. All 3 of your cars, Brennan, finished in the top 5, and 2 of them are running up towards the front in the top few positions here, the top 10. There's Jacob Thibodeau right behind Zeidel, although a little deeper is Braden Perez in the 47. Although I'm going to be honest with you, early on with all the craziness that's been going on, I wouldn't mind being at the back early on, considering how easy it can be to pass here.
Yeah, it can be, as Zeidel leads another lap. He and Thompson going at it for the last couple of laps as they're 3 wide behind. Trey Wright, Roberto Crown Jr., and Alejandro Cruz, as Thompson tried to dive in on Zeidel there, but will fall short. How about the run that Crown gets?
Goodness!
They squeeze coming off at turn 2.
He almost squeezed Hightower and Zakela up into the wall. He'll sling to the inside, headed off into turn number 3. The middle groove is the best groove to be in. And we'll see if Hightower's going to be able to get that run off the quarter. Indeed, he will. He'll thread the needle between the 27 and 84 as Cruz is going to swing to the inside. But the draft on the outside from Wright to Zakela will push the 84 around that 3 wide battle. And now Wright's going to sling to the inside into that 4th position. Thompson slides wide, and Hightower going to get to the inside of the 17.
Hightower moving his way back up into the 2nd position with help from Trey Wright. Now Wright's going to look underneath him, see if he can get into 2nd place in the 95 car for Team Ninja Rabbits, who seems to have been consistently the best team this season up until Kyle McLeese went through that big slide in July. Yeah,
he had that. He finished bad at Twin Ring, and what? Milwaukee didn't really have a good finish there either. He finished behind Nicholas Samadillo at Nashville even before we got into the month of July. Pocono, it wasn't so good. He wrecked out at Road America and had a little bit of damage from the spinning Joey Hightower on the 2nd lap, actually, at Indianapolis 1 week ago that relegated him to a poor finish. Samadillo finished 3rd last week, so that's how Mr. Edge got the points lead. But right now, Mr. Edge is 40th, and Kyle McLeese is all the way up here, battling with Ryan Durrani for the 22nd position. And so Kyle McLeese has a very good chance, if this is the way the race plays out the rest of the way, to take the points lead back away, although they'll still be within a race worth of points, as very, very tight racing going on from the front all the way to the back of this field around the Michigan International Speedway. We're 10 laps through the NOFSRL 500 as, my goodness, that got tight coming out of turn number 4.
Thibodeau and Upton almost made contact coming out of turn 4 as Thibodeau was sliding up the racetrack, and all of this mixing up is happening behind Justin Zeidel, who could not be happier to see this happening in his mirror, because they're all fighting each other and not making a run at him.
Oh, and the teammates, Troxell and Rose, got up against each other coming out of turn number 2. You saw Blake Parker have to dive to the inside to take evasive action. He slides behind the Velocistar teammates as more shuffling going on as they head through turn 3 and 4. Troxell slides way high in the turn, and Mitchell Henderson will go right to the inside, and defending series champion Trey Smith almost dives all the way below the white line on the apron to go for positions.
Some crazy dive bomb moves going on here in this race as we're just about just less than
trouble! Brock Nelson, last week's winner, goes around. Thompson gets involved. Thibodeau, Sakala, and that's going to be half the field involved. McLeese is damaged. Upside down, Thibodeau. Second place pointsman, Kyle McLeese. The back end ripped apart. Cologne in it. Perez, Road America winner, Priya McShane, William Brock.
Will Parrish.
John Andrews, Caleb Rose, we're just talking about him. Chase Harris, Will Parrish, you mentioned. And my goodness, Nicholas Samadio has a little bit of damage, although he doesn't look as bad as McLeese does. Look at Sears' car. My goodness, a ton of damage. Lozano involved, and half the field involved on lap number 12, coming out of turn number 2. We talked about it in the pre-race. It's Calamity Corner, and well, we just had
Keegan Thompson has damage.
Oh yeah, a lot of damage on the 17, who's running up front at the tail end of the first lap. Blake Parker has damage, and what we feared here at the Michigan International Speedway, the big pileup coming out of turn number 2. And well, the big wreck has happened on lap number 12. Zidell led the field around. It was Crew second, Wright, Hightower, and then Crown the top 5. And it looks like the whole field is going to go ahead and come down into the pits.
A lot of cars going to be taken out of the race early in that one. And again, we mentioned in the pre-race, turn 2 is Calamity Corner, and it looks like it's struck again. As we'll see, you can already see cars falling out of the race there. Lozano, Parrish, Harris, Thibodeau, I'd imagine, would not be in the race anymore. McShane is out. Just a lot of cars damaged. We'll see how these pit stops go through and see who ends up as the leader.
It's Andrews coming out. He was involved in the incident. Zidell gets ahead of Cruz, and it will be the top 3, Zidell, Cruz, Wright, and then Smith ahead of Hightower, although Hightower may have actually beat the 22 out. Then Monaco, Crown, Henderson, Garcia, Vargas, and then we'll let timing and scoring figure everything else out. But up front,
Kyle McLeese still running in the race with the rear end damage.
And you just look at the list of cars that are listed as accident or retired. That's how many cars were involved in this incident. So actually, let's see, I think Brock and Andrew, since they were involved in the incident, I think they're going to be at the tail end of the lead lap for the restart. So I think it's going to be Justin Zidell leading the way, and actually Stephen Cologne going to fall out of the race too. So we are now at 8 cars currently that are going to be out of the NOFSRL 500 sooner than they would have hoped. On lap number 12, everything just fell apart for them, and we'll take a look at the replay in just a moment. We'll take a look at who the leader is right now. Indeed, it is Justin Zidell, although he's going to have a roadblock, a couple of roadblocks in his way when we get the green flag once again. Let's go back and take a look at what happened to bring out caution number 1 in the 2022 NOFSRL 500 here at Michigan. So caution number 1 is out here at Michigan, and the reason for that is Brock Nelson slides up on Roberto Crown Jr. coming out of turn number 2. They get hooked together down into Marty Sakala, who's just an innocent bystander. Crown is able to save it all the way down to the apron, but Keegan Thompson and other cars on the outside, Thibodeau, are not able to make it through. Upton gets a little bit of damage, Elijah Gordon, and then everybody else coming in behind. Kyle McLeese damaged, Ethan Lewis gets a nudge, and as Darrell Waltrip once said, God help all of them, because there's no place to go. There's Thibodeau getting turned over as they head down the apron. Samadio in the 98, both the top 2 of the championship actually involved in this one. McLeese actually spins out, and Samadio gets a little bit of a nudge on the front end there, as Thibodeau, way up on the nose, comes all the way back down onto the racetrack and rolls to a stop. And that's at least half the field, at least a quarter to maybe half of the field involved in this one. And it's what we worried about here early on with everybody so packed in tight. But let's take a look at full speed.
Going through Calamity Corner, turn number 2, Nelson up into Crown, and there goes everybody. A lot of hard hits in this crash, a lot of near misses as well. Garcia, Collins, and a bunch of others on the inside. Thibodeau goes for a tumble here on the back straightaway at Michigan. Up on the nose, hits hard on the back, and then gets one more love tap from Caleb Rose before he ends up getting towed to the garage. And this will be the end of a lot of drivers' days. A lot of disappointment for some of these teams. Hoping to have a good run, and they're not even going to get to the halfway point of the race.
It's such a shame for everybody that's going to be involved, and you see how hard of hits those were. There are going to be a lot of cars out of the race as a result of this incident, but Justin Zeidel led the field back to the caution flag, and he will be able to lead the field to the green flag because he won the race off the pit road, although he'll have a little bit of a competition in front of him from a couple of lap cars, so we'll have to see how that goes down. Track is clear, we're good to go, so let's head to the restart here at Michigan. Back with your live coverage on the Trinity River Network, and just as we get the one to go, race leader Justin Zeidel finished second 1 week ago, and the engine has gone out on the 62. The heart of the car is going on lap number 16 of 50 in the 2022 NOFSRL 500, and looked like one of the favorites coming in after the run he had last week. It looked like he was getting ready to turn everything around, and well, another roadblock for Justin Zeidel and what has been a very, very difficult season for him. That will cycle Alejandro Cruz Jr. into the lead. And Brennan, I'm sorry that's the first thing we have to see when we come back from looking at replays.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you want one image to describe the entirety of Pacific Camel Racing this season, aside from Phoenix and Indianapolis, there it is right there.
Yeah, pretty much. But Justin Zeidel will go ahead and bring the Lumen Toyota into the pits. And we'll get restarted here on lap 17 in the NOFSRL 500. It'll be Alejandro Cruz leading the way, Trey Wright second, and then Trey Smith, Joey Hightower, and Eric Monaco the top five as the green flag comes out. And I was worried about this when I saw them lined up. Brock and Andrews not going. Look at Garcia from 8th all the way to the lead on the restart. Holy cow!
A launch, and it was the slow car of John Andrews that held everybody up. Garcia and Vargas launched to the inside, and now Vargas is going to try and go for the lead.
Brock tried to cross to the inside behind, as up front it will be Vargas going to the inside of a two-time winner this season, Ace Garcia. Darlington and Twin Ring, he's looking to add Michigan to his resume. As coming out of turn number 4, it looks like everybody has spread out and everybody has made it by the lap cars. Credit to them, as defending series champion Trey Smith looks to the inside of Christian Vargas for second. He might be getting ready to have the best run he's had all season in his championship defense, which has been a miserable, miserable season for that 22 team. But here he goes to the lead.
Trey Smith under Ace Garcia. Eric Monaco behind them, going 3 wide under. Looking 4 wide, Elijah Gordon coming out of turn number 4. That's going to be tight, but they don't end up going 4 wide. They stay 3, as Trey Smith will lead the lap as Cruz tries to go to second up the middle with help from Vargas.
And it looks like he's going to have the advantage heading off into turn number 1, although is Smith going to slide wide? Yes, he will. Here comes Cruz to the inside. Eric Monaco, the 25 there. If these two tangle, then Kugel on Vargas and Garcia, Gordon, Lewis right behind them in this top 8. Cruz goes to the lead on the inside of Smith, and Monaco trying to gain some ground in the 25, although Vargas going to get put in the middle as Smith slides wide again. The contact coming out of turn number 4. They're bouncing all around, and they hold on to it. I don't believe it.
This is some edge-of-your-seat racing right here. Cruz in the lead. Monaco in second. Here comes Vargas up the middle.
Oh, they're going to slide all the way wide. They're still contacting coming out of turn number 2.
Monaco escapes with second. Maybe we'll try and challenge Cruz for the lead as they continue to fight, continue to get into each other. Cruz slides up the track. Monaco's going to have a run out of 4.
Yep, he's going to be there on the inside. Vargas to the inside of Smith, and Kukulon to the inside of Garcia. It's 2x2 as they head down the front straightaways. Alphabet is battling his teammate Elijah Gordon there, back for that 7th position. It'll be Monaco moving into the lead. We'll try to keep everything here in frame as Smith and Lewis slide all the way up to the wall. And, oh goodness! Lewis and Collins save it!
Lewis almost gets turned by Collins out of turn 2, but they hold on to it. And here comes Sebastian Kukulon. Where did he come from? He's fighting for 3rd now.
He's had a miserable 2022 campaign. Vargas looking for the lead on Eric Monaco, the winner of the Clash at the start of the year. Kukulon to the inside of Cruz for 3rd, and now looking for 2nd on Eric Monaco. Cruz trying to thread the needle between them. Vargas slips off the apex of the corner, coming out of turn number 2.
Side by side for 2nd, Sebastian Kukulon, Elijah Gordon, and also Elijah Gordon's teammate Christopher Alphabet is up here as well. Good run for that team so far here in this race. Both cars in the top 10.
Both of those cars have a race win this year. Gordon at Phoenix and Alphabet at Richmond, as that got awful tight. Coming out of turn number 4, once again, that's why you mentioned turn 2, I made sure to mention turn 4 as well. You see how much they're sliding up on each other coming out of that corner. As for the race lead, here comes Kukulon to the inside of Vargas. Slide job off of turn number 2, and he's going to take the lead in the NOFSRL 500.
Put older tires on a slick racetrack like this? Well, no, they just changed tires. It just came into the pits not too long ago, but you put these cars on a slick racetrack, they're going to slide around a lot, as that's exactly what Vargas does out of the corner. Gordon will slip by. Cruz is going to try and slip by for 3rd.
As we're just short of halfway done here at the Michigan International Speedway, it is Sebastian Kukulon leading the way, Elijah Gordon 2nd, Alejandro Cruz 3rd, Ace Garcia 4th, and side by side for 5th between Eric Monaco and Christian Vargas. It looks like Monaco might have the advantage behind, heading off into turn number 3, although Vargas in a freight train along the outside, as here comes Gordon, looking for the race lead on Sebastian Kukulon. They're side by side, coming out of turn number 4 and onto the front straightaway. The outside run by Kukulon will keep the 82 ahead for the moment. We'll see if Gordon can try another dive, heading off into turn number 1.
11 have broken away from everybody else. Mostly in part due to the slow cars that broke up the pack on the restart, as Gordon continues to fight with the 82 of Kukulon for that race lead, and I think he might get it into turn number 3.
We'll see if Kukulon can take a dive on the outside. No, Gordon drives it in deep, but is going to drive up. He's going to slide up the track, coming out of turn number 4, and Kukulon's going to come right back after him, looking for the race lead. What a battle here!
Are you not entertained? Here comes Kukulon into turn number 1, underneath Gordon, as Ryan Durrani tries to go underneath his all-star speed team.
Oh, trouble into the wall! Monaco and Garcia go around. Vargas, Smith get involved. Williams, the Milwaukee winner. Ethan Lewis involved. And half a dozen more cars pile up on the back straightaway, coming out of turn number 2. I was just about to say we were closing in on the lap traffic of John Andrews, and it looks like most of the top 5 will get around. There are 3 cars will get around, so yeah, technically most of the top 5, but it's Kukulon, Durrani, Gordon, Cruz, and Alphabet the top 5, but half a dozen others get piled up coming out of turn number 2 again. And Brennan, I think that will just about eliminate the fuel mileage lottery.
Will, but it will eliminate a few more cars from the race. Ace Garcia is out of the race. You saw from the big slingshot he made on the restart, and now he's done. Christian Vargas with damage.
Goodness gracious. Williams, Smith also involved. Rose, I think that damage may have been from earlier on. I didn't see him back there in the incident. Monaco was right at the start of that. Ace Garcia, we've already said, is out.
Ethan
Lewis was also involved there in the 54. Ton of damage to the body armor Mustang as field coming down the pit road, although not John Andrews, and I'll assume not William Brock because they're a lap down, and the lap down cars will pit on their own the next time around. So into the pits come the lead lap cars, and we'll now have at least 10 cars out of the race between the big one and this incident, as Ace Garcia has fallen out, and Justin Zeidel before him. We'll see about Ethan Lewis, though. That's a ton of damage to the pole sitter. Well, they're going to try it. They may take the hood off, and he may be able to go on, but that is certainly going to hurt his aerodynamics. And Alpha B going to go for a little bit of a strategy call here. Looks like he pulls ahead of Kukulon off the pits, and then Durrani, Biller, Henderson, and then again we'll let timing and scoring figure out everything else as everybody else comes out of the pits, and they'll join up behind the pace car, and we'll wait for Williams and Brock to come down, or Andrews and Brock I should say, to come down the pit road. So we should not have to worry about them holding up the leaders on this next restart, but my goodness, did that create a crazy scenario the last time through. It'll be Christopher Alphaby leading the way coming to the next restart here at Michigan. Real quick, let's go back and take a look at what happened once again coming out of turn number 2 to bring out the second caution of the 2022 NOFSRL 500. So second caution of the race is out here at Michigan. Ace Garcia and Eric Monaco get together, and it's exactly the same situation pretty much as the last one, although Monaco goes in a little further. Instead of going to the inside, they go to the outside, and up into the safer barrier they go. Very, very hard there. Christian Vargas has nowhere to go there, and the 46 gets a piece of both cars, spins around just in front of the defending series champion Trey Smith, and as Williams there gets into the 46, and Ethan Lewis also into the 54, and other cars coming behind just barely able to make it through. Teammates there, Collins and Biller, Dale Lightning and Troxell sneak their way through, but half a dozen more cars involved in this incident on the back straightaway. Let's take a look at it at full speed.
Same situation we saw in the first caution, except the outcome's a little bit different. Unfortunately, didn't take out as many cars, but a lot of fast cars taken out in this one, including 2 of the Dracoan racing cars and both of the Monkey racing cars. So about 6 or 7 cars involved in that one. Oh, you see a hit right there at the end with Ace Garcia and Christian Vargas, just for good measure, I guess. But quite a few cars involved in that one. I don't think too many of them are going to be out of the race, but there are definitely going to be at least a few retirements coming out of this one.
Indeed, and we'll have to see how the restart goes. We won't have any, good news is at the front of the field we won't have any lap cars to worry about, but we are just about ready to go green flag racing once again. Track is clear, we're good to go. So let's head to the restart once again here at Michigan. Half a lap away from restarting the NOFSRL 500. Welcome back here to your live coverage on the Trinity River Network from the Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn. It is Christopher Alphaby leading the way. Sebastian Kukulon sits in the second position. Ryan Durrani's third. Kanan Biller's fourth. Mitchell Henderson fifth. And then Alejandro Cruz, Thomas Troxell, Samet Ozgen, Dale Lightning, and Mitchell Collins round out the top 10. A topsy-turvy top 10 for the restart. If you're just tuning in, we've had 2 cautions already. We're just wrapping up the second one. The first one was a massive pileup. The second one, about half dozen cars were taken out. Only Ace Garcia falling out in that incident. And we have 28 cars on the lead lap, 2 off the lead pace. William Brock 1 lap down, John Andrews 2 laps down. As Alphaby gets ready to bring them down to the green flag, we are racing once again at Michigan. 20 laps to go with the NOFSRL 500.
Restart by your top 3, not so much for Kanan Biller in 4th, as Kukulon maybe trying to set up a move heading into turn number 3, as they're still single file for the most part. Scott Upton making some moves back there, though.
78 of Upton, they're just ahead of Sam Adios. Gets into the 11th position now as Kukulon looking to the inside of Alphaby for the lead. Coming out of turn number 4. Durrani slides back up to the outside behind the number 3, side by side to the line. It'll be Kukulon ahead of Alphabet. But 3 wide behind them is Troxell trying to get in between Cruz and Henderson.
Kanan Biller's dropping like a rock here on the
Oh, Troxell slides up on Henderson. Goodness gracious, that was close. I thought they were about to go up into the wall again. But they keep going straight. Troxell gets stuck on the outside. Osgen and Lightning down below them, and Osgen's going to slide wide. As for the lead, here comes Durrani.
Durrani underneath, finished second at Talladega, and is going to, I think, lead that lap. Nope. Yeah, he did. He did lead that lap, just barely. So that's a lap led for Durrani as he's going to try and fend off Kukulon. Kukulon still to the outside. Alphabet, Cruz, Troxell, and Oskin all battling for third.
Down the back straightaway they go. Durrani still leads the way. Kukulon trying to find a way back around the Comfort Suites number 10. There he goes to the inside. Cruz and Alphabet side by side for third. Just behind them, 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 again. More like 1 by 1 by 3 now as they all sort it out. Kukulon gets back up to the front. Durrani second, Alphabet third, Troxell fourth, Cruz into the 5th position. But here comes Samit Osgen in the number 83.
The run for Trinity River Racing so far, besides the 23, which was taken out in the big wreck. But the other 2 are running inside the top 10, so good runs so far. One of them leading, of course. You always want to have your car leading as Troxell peeks underneath. Christopher Alphabet for third. He has been picking him up and putting him down on his way to the front. Your Pocono winner trying to get another one on a big track at Michigan.
And he is not going to get the spot just yet. Alphabet clears him back, heading off into the turn, though. Alphabet's going to sling to the inside of Durrani as Kukulon blows turns 1 and 2, slides wide, but he's far enough ahead where he'll hold on to the lead. His teammate Samit Osgen, running in the 5th position, had 3 wins 1 year ago, has 1 already this year. At Dover Motor Speedway, Kukulon is the only Trinity River Racing car that has not won this year, because Chase Harris won in race number 2 at the Auto Club Speedway, and so Kukulon would like to get a winner's trophy today at Michigan, as we are now 15 laps away from the checkered flag if all things go well. Troxell into that 3rd position on the inside of Alphabet, and Osgen looks like he'll get around the Spotify number 3 as well.
I'd look out for Troxell and Oskin. They both look very fast. They both made up several positions since the restart, and Troxell is already trying to get underneath Ryan Durrani for second, and he might be alongside Kukulon for the lead coming down the front straightaway.
Yes, indeed. Here comes the Mercedes of Thomas Troxell, Team Velocistar. Their co-owner / driver all the way down to the inside looking for the race lead. Kukulon takes the middle line, but he slides up out of the groove coming out of 2, but he's again far enough ahead where he'll hold on to the race lead, but just barely ahead of that number 16. Durrani settles into the 3rd position just behind them. Alphabet and Dale Lightning, defending SNS champion, now side by side with Alphabet. And the Scots national champion from 1 year ago will move into the 4th position, still has not won in 2022.
He will take 4th as Kanan Biller looks underneath Alphabet, and the top 3 continue to pull away. Troxell looking for a way to get around Kukulon. He poked his nose down under turn 2, but slid back behind him. Maybe he's setting up for something on the front stretch. Here he comes. Underneath.
He is looking for the race lead on the inside. Coming out of turn number 4, Thomas, Troxell, and Kukulon side by side for the lead. It's Kukulon at the line at 12 to go, but up ahead as the caution comes out. And I assume it's on the front stretch. Yes. Oh my goodness.
Perez.
Points leader. Sabadio and Braden Perez involved. Marty Sakala again involved in an incident. But what a break for Kyle McLeese. That will all but put him back into the points lead, as up front we haven't made it back. As Troxell has moved into the lead, Durrani's in 2nd. Kukulon slept all the way back to the 3rd position as we were going back. I thought they'd already raced back to the caution flag, but apparently not. They hadn't gotten it yet. So Troxell leads the way, Durrani second, then Kukulon, Alpha B, and Lightning as the third caution of the race comes out, and Perez is junk.
Last remaining PHR car in the race will follow his teammates to the garage today.
Goodness gracious, after such a high last week at Indianapolis, what a terrible way for the NOFSRL 500 to go for PHR. Nicholas Samadio was also involved in it. But let's see here. A lot of damage on the right side. The front looks about the same as it did earlier on. And looks like he's going to stay out on the racetrack.
We're going to have a couple damaged cars fighting for the points lead here in the last few laps of this race. That's quite something.
It has been a brutal race for the back half of the field today at the Michigan International Speedway. But up front, it looks like most of these cars that are up inside, about the top 15 or so, except, well, Upton's in 16th, so right at about the top 15. It looks like they just rolled off the hauler pretty much. So we'll see what happens here. We're sitting at 10 laps to go. We're going to restart with less than that. It's Thomas Troxell leading the way, and folks, all I can say is just pull those belts tight, because we're in store for one wild finish here at the Michigan International Speedway. But real quick, let's go back and take a look at what happened to bring out the third caution of the race here at the Michigan International Speedway. On the other side of the racetrack, instead of turn 2 this time, it's turn 4. It's another slide job gone wrong. This time it's Samadio, the points leader, up on Scott Upton, coming out of turn number 4. They go into the outside wall. Marty Sakala is going to get a bit of a piece here in the 84. It was just going to be a bit of a piece until Braden Perez comes in, blinded by the smoke, I assume, and center punches the back end of the 84 and spins up into Samadio, and all three cars pile into that outside and then spin back down into the infield. And at the very least, Braden Perez is going to be out, maybe Sakala as well. But let's take a look now at full speed.
Samadio comes barreling into turn number 4, gets into Scott Upton. They both hit the wall, and then here comes Perez, boom, into the back of Sakala. And Sakala, who was already involved in the first caution of the race, is got the back end torn off the car almost. And Perez has the black smoke of death coming out of his car, so he's definitely done for the day. Might take Sakala with him while he's at it. But big crash coming out of turn number 4, big as in magnitude, but there were only 3 cars involved. But one of them was Samadio, the points leader. We'll see if he'll be able to keep going and maybe try and salvage something over his also wounded rival, Kyle McLeese.
Yeah, it has been a brutal day for the top 2 in the championship. We'll just have to see how it goes for them. Will McLeese take back the points lead? Will Samadio hold on to it? We'll have to see how it goes. Track is clear. We are good to go, so let's head to the restart, maybe for the last time here at the Michigan International Speedway. Welcome back once again to your live picture here on the Trinity River Network. We're about to restart once again the NOFSRL 500 here at the Michigan International Speedway. Third caution of the race coming out of turn 4 this time, involving Braden Perez, Nicholas Samadio, and Marty Sakala. And Braden Perez and Marty Sakala have fallen out of the race as a result. Nicholas Samadio still on the racetrack, but the points leader is behind Kyle McLeese in the running order right now. If they came out of the race right now, they'd be tied, and McLeese would have the tiebreaker on wins. McLeese has 2, Samadio has just 1. So we'll have to see how it goes here in the closing laps, who comes out with a points lead and who comes out with a race victory as the green flag comes out. 7 laps to go.
Is holding up a lot of the pack back there, so that'll be a race between like the top 7 or so. A 5 is very slow, but Troxell trying to hold on to get his second win of the season. Durrani trying to get his first win of the season. And Kukulon also trying to get his first win of the season. As we've got a race between about 7 cars going into turn number 3.
Troxell won the last NOFSRL 500 in 2020, but he slides to the outside, and Ryan Durrani, who's never won an NOFSRL 500 before, moves to the race lead here at Michigan. 6 laps to go.
Kukulon will move into second behind Durrani. And he's going to peek to the inside between turns 1 and 2. All these guys are desperate to get to the front. And they're going to be aggressive coming out of turn 2. Looks like Durrani will hold on for now, but Kukulon will be there going into turn number 3.
And slinging to the inside into the third turn, and he's going to be there on the low side, although Durrani is doing a good job of holding his ground. Troxell closing in up top as well. Cruz gets by Lightning back there for the 6th position as the top 3 continue to battle with one handful of laps to go. 5 laps remain at Michigan as Troxell's going to thread the needle in the middle.
Through the middle, Thomas Troxell, and I think he's going to get the lead.
Although Kukulon is on the inside of him, Durrani slips out of it, and it's a race between these two. Sebastian Kukulon on the inside, Thomas Troxell on the outside. Coming around turn number 4, Kukulon pulls ahead of Troxell. Coming around for 4 laps to go at Michigan.
Still side headed into turn number 1. Durrani behind them. Kukulon has the edge going into turns 1 and 2. And Troxell's going to slip up the racetrack. Kukulon will be clear for the lead, but Durrani's right behind him, and it's bringing back Mitchell Collins and Alejandro Cruz into this fight as well. So don't count those two out either.
The only driver in the top 5 that has ever won an NOFSRL 500 is Thomas Troxell. The other 4 searching for their first. And in the case of Alejandro Cruz Jr., he's searching for his first career win in the series. 3 laps to go. At Michigan International Speedway's Durrani moves into the lead. Troxell second. Collins underneath Kukulon into third. As here comes Troxell.
Troxell peeking underneath into turn 2. Durrani going to try and fend him off as they go side by side down the back straightaway. Cruz will take 4th from Kukulon as Troxell and Durrani still side by side. Troxell with the edge right now. Here comes Mitchell Collins. He's going to have a run out of turn number 4.
Kukulon into the 4th position behind as 2 laps to go. A drag race up front between Thomas Troxell and Mitchell Collins, but Kukulon trying to close in on the inside of Ryan Durrani into turn number 1. Mitchell Collins, whose last win came at Twin Ring last August. Here comes Kukulon to the inside. 3 wide for second coming out of turn number 2.
4 cars under a blanket, a lap and a half left to go in the NOFSRL 500. Kukulon sticks his nose under, but Collins is going to pull ahead of everybody out of turn number 3 and 4.
Mitchell Collins looking for the white flag. One more time. 2 miles remain in the NOFSRL 500. Ryan Durrani into the 2nd position. Thomas Troxell on the outside looking for 3rd. Kukulon slips backwards on the inside. Is this going to be the last move? Ryan Durrani looking to the inside of Collins coming out of turn number 2. They're side by side. 3 wide as Kukulon gets to the inside. 3 wide for the race lead here at Michigan International Speedway. Kukulon's going to move to the lead. 2 turns to the checkered flag. Durrani trying to come back up top. Kukulon goes up to block. Troxell comes down to the inside. And out of time. Sebastian Kukulon. The winless streak's over. Kukulon wins the NOFSRL 500 at Michigan.
Wide out of turn 2, and he makes the move work, and he gets the win for Trinity River Racing.
Oh my goodness!
NOFSRL 500.
Wow!
That's an all-time great for the Trinity River Cup Series, for sure.
What a race! And what a way to bring back the NOFSRL 500. And Sebastian Kukulon. My goodness.
Side by side on the cool-down lap, paying respects to each other.
My goodness gracious. Troxell giving a big congratulations to Kukulon as well as Durrani. And Troxell, with the bad luck he's had this year, he's probably thinking, hey, I finished second. Although I came close, I finished second, and I'm just as happy as I can be. He's had terrible luck all the way outside the top 30 in the standings. Same for Kukulon. But Kukulon, whose winless streak dates all the way back to Gateway last June or July, whatever month it was one of those two in the summer. But the winless streak is finally over, and he finally has career win number 2 in the NOFSRL Trinity River Cup Series, and Kukulon will come around after his victory lap and come into the pits. He'll be greeted by his crew, and you wouldn't believe where he started this race. He started all the way back in the 36th position and methodically worked his way up through the field all day long. And at the end of 50 laps, Sebastian Kukulon won this race with an average race speed of 142.591 miles per hour by just a little over 1/10 of a second ahead of Thomas Troxell. Ryan Durrani comes home with a podium in 3rd. Mitchell Collins, who looked like he was going to win it, slips back to 4th. Dale Lightning in 5th. Alejandro Cruz in 6th. Samet Oskin 7th. Christopher Alphaby 8th. Joey Hightower 9th. And Kanan Biller rounds out the top 10. Looking in the standings here, looking at Kyle McLeese, he finishes in the 18th position. Nicholas Samadio finishes 23rd. That's a difference of 5 positions. So Samadio is going to come out of this race with a 1-point lead in the championship standings ahead of Kyle McLeese. Folks, this championship battle looked like it was going to be a runaway, but it looks like now it may very well come down to the wire in just a few weeks at Homestead. But looking through the rest of the standings here, William Brock and John Andrews, the only cars unable to finish on the lead lap of the ones that remained. 26 cars finished on the lead lap, and Sekela Perez, Garcia, Zidell, Cologne, McShane, Nelson, Thibodeau, Lozano, Sear, Parrish, and Harris unable to finish, period, for one reason or another. So, Brennan, final thoughts on the rebirth of the NOFSRL 500 here at Michigan?
I think I've got enough time to put in all my thoughts. That was one of the best races I've ever seen, with one of the best finishes I've ever seen. This is going to go down as one of, if not the greatest finishes in TRCS history. And the racing was great from lap 1 to the drop of the checkered flag. It was just as good as I expected it to be, and then some. That's what I'm saying. That's all I got to say about that race.
You know, I choked. I don't remember who it was with, but I was in a voice chat with someone, and they said, I said, you know, Charlotte may have been the best race all year, but Michigan's going to blow it out of the water whenever we get to that. Honestly,
Right.
I wasn't expecting it to be that exciting. That was one of the best Michigan races I can ever remember seeing, and I promise folks at home, I'm not just saying that because one of the drivers from my team won. I was thoroughly glued to that race, and Michigan, there's a reason. There's a reason why we treat it as such a big deal here in the NOFSRL, and that race you just saw is the reason. And we're going to go ahead and bring this to a close here so that this isn't some big long-winded thing, because we pretty much got the message across, and you saw the race, so you know what happened in this one. If you're just tuning into the premiere, folks, I'm sorry you missed a great one. You can go back and watch it afterwards, but my goodness, let's bring this to a close now. Congratulations to Sebastian Kukulon on your second career win in one of the most dramatic fashions we've ever seen here at the Michigan International Speedway. We'll see you next weekend under the lights at the Armory Digital Super Speedway for the Armory Digital 500. Thanks to Brennan Wilmington for joining me along the call for this race. It has been fun. It has been a pleasure, and we will see you next weekend at Armory Digital with 3 races remaining in the season. Y'all take care, stay safe, and have a good one. Welcome to the NOFSRL.